Let me start playing with y'all. Fat Finger Squad. Well, Gonzalo, S Smooth in the building. I ain't see y'all in a while. But today I am going to be using EVNG today, or at least attempt to use it. Today's lab is configuring Eigrp passive interfaces. The description, the lab objective is for us to learn how to prevent Eigrp from sending unnecessary updates by using passive interfaces. We got my man Eigrp in the building. What's going on? Eigrp, who gave me some tips, some pointers on how to get this EVNG going here. That is the description, right? That's our lab objective. Version 1. I am obviously the author. Actually, the author technically would be Paul Browning. He is the author of this book. This is the lab guide that we use for these labs. 101 Labs, Cisco CCNA version 4. You can get a copy of this from 101labs.net. Authored by Paul Browning and co-authored by Farad Tafa. Experts agree that we retain only 10% of what we read, but 90% of what we do. Y'all know how much I love this book because it gives you something to follow along, hands-on. And today's lab is going to be in page number 252. Page 252, lab number 57, passive interfaces for Eigrp updates. We need 2 routers and a switch for this lab right here. Basically, you add a node, if I remember correctly. IOL, we are going to be using router 1. Yes, believe it or not, I am going out of my comfort zone here, and I'm going to use EVNG today. That guy's going to be router 1, and I'm going to need a router 2 as well as a switch. R2. So if y'all want to go ahead and drag and drop a couple switches, a couple routers and a switch, if y'all want to follow along as well, if you're using Packet Tracer or if you're using GNS3, God forbid you're using that heathen application. What am I talking about, man? That's all I ever use, right? But today I'm stepping out of my comfort zone. We need one more node. We need a switch this time. This should be SW1. Let's see. Y'all know, can you make templates out of EVNG? Can you make templates with the nodes? Because I hate having to drag and drop and select the icon and all that other stuff. But maybe that's the way you got to do it, and that's the way you got to do it. We got Pete in the building. What's going on, Pete? We got Brendan. You ready for class, guys? This should be a really simple lab if you guys are just tuning in. We only need 2 routers and a switch. Go ahead and plug them boys back to back. This guy is going to be going into that router from the switch's 03 interface to the 00 interface for the router. And I didn't do that correctly. Drag and drop. Y'all know I'm just getting used to how to use EVNG here. So that should be port number 3. That's port 00. And then on this guy, I want to drag and drop from there to there, from the switches 02 to the 00 interface of the router. Let's get to labeling and then cabling. We've done our cables. We just need a label now. These guys are going to be in the switch is with layer 3 image. Change it. Well, this is going to be a layer 2 switch for this, but yes, yeah, you're right. We could use a layer 3 image, but there's not going to be any layer 3 we're going to do on the switch. So I'm going to go with the layer 2 for now, but appreciate that. We need to, let me get to labeling here. Let's see, do a shape here. I want to do a circle. Don't want to name it. I guess I could name it, right? Eigrp ASN ASN 10 is what the book is saying. A solid background color. Let's go with this aqua blue here. Save that and drag and drop them bad boys. Right, these guys are going to be in ASN number 10, and it don't look like it does that. So what I'm going to have to do is actually type that out. So where's my text at? How do I do text? There we go, text. I guess EVNG ain't that bad when it comes to it. It's pretty self-explanatory, I guess. Eigrp AS number 10, and I'm going to pick a bigger font size. So let's go with, I guess, 20. Background color is that. Yes, so Eigrp 10, and then I'm gonna need some. What am I gonna do here? We got 2 interfaces. We're gonna have 2 sub interfaces on both of these routers here. So let me get to labeling those guys, right? Let's do a text here, and then this one's gonna be Ethernet because I don't have fast Ethernet on these bad boys. Y'all know how do I get fast Ethernet interfaces on the routers here? Let me put that as a size 8, and then this sub interface is going to be 192.168.10.1/30 subnet /30 like that, and then copy that. No, I need that to be a little bit bigger. How do I edit that? Okay. Right click, edit. Oh Jesus. Come on, Eve. Don't do me like that, Eve. I'm trying to edit that right there, man. Okay, there we go. I guess I can do it that way. Alright, so yeah, that interface. Come on, man. Now how do I move that? Alright, there we go. That's a little too big, but I'll go with that for now. That's gonna be that sub interface, I guess. And then I'm going to have another sub interface. I don't want to duplicate that one because I don't like that one. Y'all with me so far? I'm just doing the labeling. And once we're done with the labeling, we'll get to configuring. This interface is going to be Ethernet 00.20. That IP address 192.168.20.1/30. And what was that? That was, I guess that was an 8, right? That was a little too much there. Anywho, come on, man. I don't like the way this, man. Listen, Eve, don't mess with me today, man. All right, so I guess I'll duplicate those, and then we'll go with that. Duplicate, and then this is gonna be .20, but it's 20.2. 20.2, and then the other one I'm gonna duplicate that one, and that is gonna be 20.1. Y'all with me so far? So basically, we're gonna have these sub interfaces, and they are gonna be participating in different processes of Eigrp. So that's 20.1, right? 10.1, 20.1, and he's supposed to be 10.1. I mean 10.2. Fat Finger Squad in the building. He's 10.2, and that's 20.2. Okay, good. Y'all let me know if there's any other mistakes here. If you guys are following along, you can tell me if I'm making a mistake. But it's page number 252 in the book. If you guys don't know, you can get a copy of this book from 101labs.net, or there's a link in the description box. It is an affiliate link, so I do get a little small commission if you get it from there. Right-click, edit, look at the bottom, and customize it. Oh, okay, that's what I did, I guess. Good. All right, so I think that's pretty much it as far as the labeling goes. Let's get to configuring. So task 1 is configure the host names. That should be real easy enough, right? Looks like we need to power these bad boys on first. Start all nodes. We'll console into router 1. Come on, man. I thought you could just console into it by just double click. There you go. Okay, there we go. Okay. Okay, Eve. I see you, Eve. I guess it's a little bit self-explanatory, although GNS3 you can do that too. But let's see how fast these bad boys power on, though. That's my question for you. We got the switch coming up right here. That switch looked like he's already up. Let's see. He awake already? Nope. He's powering on. And the router. And let's put these bad boys down here. Y'all with me so far? Let me know if there's any questions or anything like that. I guess we could talk about, okay, these guys are powering on while they do that. So basically, passive interfaces is just like the OSPF lab that we did. We can create a passive interface. So let's say we got, I don't know, like 10 or 15 interfaces on a specific router or whatever. You don't have that much interfaces on a router, but let's say you do. You could, if you have some sub interfaces, and maybe there's a couple sub interfaces that fall into a specific network, but we don't want one of those interfaces to be advertising some Eigrp updates. Well, guess what? Instead of just shutting it down altogether, maybe we could just have it not participate in Eigrp. And the way we do that is with a passive interface. So it's just like the OSPF lab that we did, where we made a passive interface, except we're doing the same thing on Eigrp. So let's get to, well, we did the labeling cable. Let's get to configuring, putting no on all these bad boys, because remember we always skip the wizard there. That Windows sound got me, and I'm on Linux. You talking about that? Boom. You talking about that? That right there? Yeah, that Windows sound do get a little annoying, but it is what it is, man. I'm a Windows head. I need to get used to Linux too myself, man. I always mention how I had a job interview and they asked me, they asked me some basic Linux questions, because I was familiar with those, but then they went dived a little deeper, and needless to say, I did not get that job, right? So we all know how to do host names, right? We just type in host name and in the host name, and that should be able to change it, right? This is the router. That is the switch. No, that's also the router. I didn't console into the router yet. I mean the switch yet. Let's see. Who is who? Because, okay, I guess that's router 1. I'm hoping that's router 1. Let me close these guys because I got 3 routers on here. So get the switch going. Right? Because oh no, he's still a switch. Is that what you was talking about? Now I think I see what you was talking about, man. Because he was supposed to be a switch. Let me stop that bad boy and connect an actual switch. Let's do that. Add an object, a node, IOL, and I wanted the switch, layer 2, and I wanted this to be the switch. Where is he at? Right here. And this is SW1. Right, because this was supposed to be a switch, but it is booting up as a router. So let me disconnect. I guess we can stop this bad boy and delete him. Are you sure you want to delete? Yes. Bring that on. Drag and drop that guy from port number. I hope I'm connecting the right nodes there. Now, how do I see what connections they went to though? You see, this don't, let me see. Maybe I gotta refresh, right? Because I think you gotta refresh to actually see everything. Nope. Let me stop that bad boy and drag and drop from there to there. Drag and drop from there to there. Or is it because I got to power this on? I don't know. Y'all let me know here. And the device, I said change the image of the switch. You got in layer 3 router with a switch icon. And the device must be turned off when you connect them. Oh, okay. See, I didn't know that. Okay, good to know. Good thing you on this stream here, because y'all know I'm not used to to Eve yet. So let's stop this bad boy, delete this bad boy. No, I don't want to delete that. I want to keep this. What I want to do is delete the let's do this. Let's delete this. Delete that node. Did the connections go away? There they go. Okay, so now add an object. Now I want to add a switch. Come on, Eve. Let's see here, and then layer 2 like that. Switch 1. Let's see here. Switch 1. Switch, and then I'm hoping I'm doing that correctly. Where's my switch at? Come on, man. I didn't change that. Let me do that over again. Switch. Layer 2. That guy right there is what I wanted. Save him. And then, okay, that's what I think I was looking for. This is supposed to be connection switch 3 to 0. And then the other one is supposed to be from 2 on the switch to 0 on the router. Right? And then I can power him on, double click him. Y'all excuse my little, y'all know this is a learning curve for me. I'm used to using Eve and G. I'm sorry, Eve and G to GNS3. Come on, man. How do I drag that, man? Come on, man. Can I not drag him back up there? There we go. Jesus Christ. Oh, let's see. Okay, so router 2. Let's power him on. Power him on. Let's go into the switch. Let me close that. And the switch looked like he is powering on here. We can change the host name. Now let's get to working. He is switch 1, right? That changes it to switch 1. Y'all remember how to do that. Change the host name. Now let's try to see if we could do what we can to do here. Go to router 1. Same thing with router 2. And y'all remember this. This is still a learning curve for me. I'm not used to using Eve. I'm used to using GNS3. Oh, trusty dusty. But okay, so the switch is right there. I'm gonna put the switch in the middle just so we can stay consistent with where they're placed at. We put a node here. We put a node here. All right, so this is router 1's console, right? This switch 1's console, and that is router 2's console right there, right? Y'all with me so far? Okay. So now that we've got that going, wait till these bad boys power on. Still better than GNS3. You think so, Pete, man? Okay, so I guess you on that even G wave too, man. Well, I'm finally joining. I'm finally I'm like a little lemming, man, following the trends here, man. I guess that's what the new kids are doing nowadays. Y'all know I'm old school. I still got my hardware here. There was something else I wanted to show y'all too, because believe it or not, I did this lab because I wanted to make sure I get a little used to even G before I get to streaming here. But I think he's powered on now, right? Nope, he's still waking up. Okay, there we go. All right, so we'll go to global config mode, change the host name to R1 for that guy, and he is obviously R2. And he switched 1. All right, so good. That was task 1. We already got 6 tasks today. We already done task 1. We did the labeling and cabling. Task 2 was to configure VLAN 10. Name it EIGRP_10. And VLAN 20. And name it EIGRP_20, right? So we got to go to the switch and put these two VLANs, create 2 VLANs on that switch and then put these 2 interfaces in them, right? So y'all know how to do that, right? So we go to global config mode. We just say, oh, let me see here. VLAN, and they said VLAN number 10, and to name it VLAN or EIGRP_, so name is EIGRP_10, right? And then we're going to create another VLAN and name it VLAN 20, and then name it Eigrp underscore 20, just like that. We verify our work with show VLAN brief, and we see we created the 2 VLANs, right? And then we need to put, they said here, next, configure switch 1's FA02, which is that right there. Remember, I've got Ethernet interfaces here, and Ethernet 03 as trunks. These should be connected to router 1 and router 2 FA00 interfaces respectively. So they are. That one's connected to EA00 and that one's connected to E00. We just need to put these 2 interfaces as trunks, right? Right now, we can verify our work with who's trunking right now. Show interface trunk, we have nobody, right? Nobody's there. So we need to put those 2 in trunks. We go to global config mode. We can do both at the same time with the range command, right? Interface range Ethernet 0, 2 through 3. That way we can configure both of these 2 interfaces at the same time. And we said we want to hard code them as trunks. But before we do that, remember we usually got to do switch port encapsulation. Is it encapsulation? No, switch port trunk encapsulation .1Q, right? Because you could do either .1Q or ISL, and then we can hard code it as a trunk, right? Because if you don't do that, you'll get that error that we've been always seeing in GNS3. So we do switch port mode trunk, and notice we're getting some errors here that the interfaces went down and then came back up, right? So we do switch port mode trunk, press enter. Look like Eve is wigging out on me here. No, it's not. And now they went back down, came back up, as you can see, right? Down, came back up, bounced, right? So we do show interfaces trunk, and we'll see both of those interfaces are trunking now, right? And they are both allowing these VLANs in there. VLAN 1, which is the native VLAN, or the default VLAN, plus the 2 VLANs that we created, VLAN 10 and 20. They're both being allowed on these 2 interfaces, which are now trunking, right? We have the trunk encapsulation is .1Q, which is the industry standard, right? And that lets us know it's trunking. And VLAN 1, like I said, switches out the box. The native VLAN is 1, right? Y'all with me so far? East or west? Eve is the best. Man, listen to this guy, man. What are you, a salesman for Eve and G, man? This dude, first of all, he influenced me into using Eve and G, and he just keeps talking about Eve and G, man. But it's all good, man. I'm starting to like it so far. I'm just not used to the interface. I just need to get used to it. Plus, I need to get secure CRT to talk to it as well, so that way I don't got these tabs, you know, all misaligned and stuff like that, you know. But it's all good. Y'all see what I'm doing so far, right? So what else we need? We did the trunks. They are connected. That was task 2. We only got 6 tasks, right? So we pretty much like, I'd say 33% done. Task 3 is to configure sub-interfaces, FA0010 and FA0020.20 on router 1 and router 2. So basically, those that we got labeled. We got to create that sub-interface and that sub-interface on router 1, and then this sub-interface and on this sub-interface on router 2, right? Y'all know how to do that, right? If not, just follow along. So we go to router 1, and we say interface Ethernet 00.10. And what else did they say before I even create them? It says here, subinterface 00.10, which in this case is going to be Ethernet. The book says fast Ethernet, but I've got Ethernet here. On either router should be associated with VLAN 10, and then .20 should be associated with VLAN 20 on each router. So that's going to be in VLAN 10, that's going to be in VLAN 20, that's going to be in VLAN 10, and that's VLAN 20. Y'all with me so far? Anybody have questions or anything? Remember, there's no such thing as a dumb question. We got a lot of smart people in the chat room there. If I don't get to answer it, if I'm not, paying attention, somebody else will be able to answer it. If you guys don't know, we also have a Discord server. So if you want to ask some stuff after class or whatever, and be like, hey man, what did you do when you went to router 2 and did that? You know what? You can, if you ain't got time to ask me, or you just feel like you could just DM me on the Discord server. So make sure you join that. Make sure y'all subscribe, and make sure y'all hit that like button too, so that way other people can join us, and we'll have a better learning environment where there's more people in here and stuff like that. And plus, y'all know my channel's fire, man. Just go ahead and subscribe, man. Hit that subscribe button. So we got to put that interface right there, this sub interface. We're gonna put that in VLAN 10, right? We do that with because watch what happens if you try to just create it and put an IP address, right? Well, let's say, okay, so he says that IP address is 192.168.10.1/30, right? Which is 192.168.10.1 sub interface of /30, which is 255.255.255.252. You got to put the address in there if you're gonna create an IP address, dumbass. Address like this, And notice it got right here. It says, configuring IP routing on the LAN subinterfaces is only allowed if that subinterface is already configured as part of an IEEE 802.10 or 802.1q or ISL VLAN. In other words, you can't put an IP address if it's configured as a local area subnet, like it's not routed. It's not a routed port. It's a switching port right now. So you have to create it as a routed port, and then choose a specific VLAN ID for it. The way we do that was just encapsulation. Well, not that it's a routed port. I'm sorry. I'm saying that wrong because this is a router, right? So what you want to do is choose the encapsulation, right? So in this case, we're doing encapsulation, right? You could either do, well, you can only do .1q on this router, and then you have to pick the VLAN ID, right? So, and right here it says you have to make it either .1q or ISL. This router only supports .1q, so guess what? You're gonna have to do .1q, right? Remember what that is? That is basically like the industry standard for trunking. 802.1q, right? So the 802.1q, and then from there you pick the VLAN ID. What we said we was gonna put that in VLAN 10, right? Yeah, with me so far. So we do .802.1q and we put in 10, and now we should theoretically be able to put the IP address. And it took it that time. You see that? So we got to do the same thing on Ethernet 00.20, right? So let me get out of this, right? You ain't got to do that. I'm just doing this for any of the newbies that don't know how to do that. But anyways, 0.0.20, and then remember we did the encapsulation first. We picked the encapsulation first, and then this one's going to be in VLAN ID 20, and then we put the IP address, which in this case is 192.168.20.1/30 subnet. So 192.168.20.1 subnet mask of 255.255.252. You got to put IP address, you dumbass. Don't forget the word address there. Access port. Is that what you're saying? So, oh shit, here we go with that. So you're saying I'm making it an access port by doing that? I think the area that you're talking about is on the switch, because right now, we picked a specific VLAN ID when we did that. So, but that's a good question though, or not even a question, but I see what you're saying, that that error that you're talking about on the switch, on whether it's you're making it you're changing it from an access port to a trunk port. But I think I know what you're talking about. So I think we done the IP addressing. Let's do show IP interface brief, show our work so far, exclude unassigned, and notice that these sub interfaces are down. Can anybody explain to me why they're still down? We can go back to those interfaces, right? Let's pick one, Ethernet 00.10, do a no shut, and run that command again, and notice that they're still down. Why is it still down? Can anybody explain that? While somebody over there thinks about that and puts the answer in the chat, I'm going to go to router 2 and do the same thing, right? We're going to put these sub interfaces in their respective VLANs, right? And also put their IP addresses. So same thing that we did on the other side, we're just doing it on router 2, right? So interface Ethernet 0.0. We got my man Josh from Keep It Techie in the building. Welcome back, Josh. Man, why do I only remember when you come up into this chat room? Like, man, when didn't we supposed to do an interview, man? I'm gonna need to hit you up, man. I just been so like really busy, man. I got like my boss put another project this week, and I'm just like, I need to figure out some time for myself. And when you pop up, I'm like, shit, I got an interview to do with this dude. I'm definitely gonna hit you up, man. Y'all check out my man Josh from Keep It Techie. He's got an excellent YouTube channel. If you guys want to get into Linux and stuff like that. Emmanuel says, hey, that's my real name too, Emmanuel. Parascal says that there is no device connected to that VLAN. Interesting that you say that, because we've got switch 1 right here, right? Let's see. We got this switch. Let's go to switch 1. That's a good point you made though. And that's probably why it's down, but I don't think that's the reason why it's down. Notice we've got this switch with Ethernet 0.2 and 0.3. 3. 0.2 and 0.3. 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 0. and they are in VLANs 10 and 20 respectively, right? We show VLAN brief, and we've got, no, they are not in those in VLANs. They are basically, they're trunking, so they're allowing both of those VLANs in them. So those switches aren't specifically on 10 or 20. They're allowing both of those VLANs, and they're trunking. So, but you said, yeah, for sure, man. I'll definitely let you know, Josh. Let's says here what he said. The trunks are down. Network says that the trunks are down. No, they're actually up, my friend. That's a good point, though. Notice that trunking mode is on. We just show, when we do, I'm gonna run show interface trunk again, right? My bad. Show interface is trunk. We have those trunkers up. When we do show interface, can you do show interface status on this? Yes, you can. So they're connected and they're trunking. Auto. Why are these sub interfaces down? But I don't think that's definitely not the answer from Network. But Emmanuel had made a good point, but I don't think that's the answer either, though. The main interface is not no shut. Lee McMillan, that is correct. Lee McMillan got the correct answer. So these sub interfaces right here, right? Ethernet 00.20 and Ethernet 00.10, they're associated with the physical interface Ethernet 00. So if you notice, I'm gonna do show IP interface brief, but we're not gonna exclude the unassigned. I'm just gonna do show IP interface brief to show every interface, right? Which means both the sub interfaces along with the physical interfaces. Remember, these are virtual. They like fake little interfaces that are on the router, right? So these are virtual, right? These two right here are virtual. The rest of them are physical. So that's a physical interface. That's a physical interface. That's a physical interface. Well, you know what? These two sub interfaces are associated with this physical interface, right? So 00 is associated with this physical one. Well, guess what? This physical one is admin down. So let's bring that bad boy up and see what happens, right? Configure terminal interface Ethernet 00. I need to turn on my number lock because this dude don't know what he's doing over here with the keypad. And then no shut that bad boy. And we should theoretically see a bunch of logs flying at us right here, right? Interface is up. So now that Ethernet 00 is up, we will show IP interface brief again. Not only is the physical interface up, but these two logical interfaces that are associated with them are up as well. So that is the correct answer, Lee. Was cracking my head 2 weeks ago trying to do router on a stick. This was the problem. Yes, man. I remember years ago. That's funny you say that, Lee. Years ago when I was first learning about this stuff, I'm like, how come this thing won't even come up, man? I'm sitting there trying to ping. You think that I think I maybe made that mistake that Emmanuel made as well. Like a device has to be on a specific VLAN and it has to be up. No. The physical interface that it's associated with needs to be up for those sub interfaces to be up as well. So I started learning 3 weeks ago, Linux 3 weeks ago, and now I'm in love with Linux. That's what's up, Hendrik, man. I'm pretty sure you know about it because you use EvenG a lot too. So you got to know Linux to at least get it up and running. So yeah, that's the reason why those sub interfaces were not up. So we go to router 2, pretty much do the same thing, right? What we did, right? So 00.20, we put the IP address was 192.168.10.2. Subnet mask of 255.255.252, right? We'll most likely get that error because why? Right here it says configuring IP routing on a LAN sub interface. So right now it's kind of like you want to do routing on this, right? You want to make it a layer 3 routed port, but it's saying you're only allowed to do that if it's part of some sort of encapsulation, either .1Q, which is the open standard, or ISL, which was basically the Cisco proprietary trunking standard back in the day, but they don't use that no more. They don't even put that on the switches no more. Matter of fact, if you do encapsulation, a switch port trunk encapsulation, like ISL or whatever, that's not even gonna show up no more. I don't even think that command even works anymore on the newer versions of iOS. So this is just like some sort of, I guess, antiquated command. So we need to do what we did on the other side, right? On router 1, we just do encapsulation .1Q. That's the trunking standard, and then the associated VLAN that we want to associate it with, which in this case is 10. Then we can put the IP address, and it should take it that time, right? And we can verify that with what? So when you're doing something, I don't care how little it is, verify your work, right? Verify. When you're done, run the show command and verify it again. My boss is always drilling that in my head, man. So, and notice it's down. All right, so we can do to create the other sub interface. I think I made a mistake here, didn't I? He's 20.2. That's the mistake. So check this out. Check this out, y'all. And this is why we need to always verify our work, right? So I created, let's see, Ethernet 0020. The IP address is actually supposed to be 20.2, right? And I made 20.2 associated with .20, right? Y'all see that? This is why we always need to verify our work. Y'all see me talking shit over here, talking about verify, and then I found my mistake right here. So let's go back into that interface, right? Interface Ethernet 00.20. His IP address is actually supposed to be 20.2, right? Always verify our work. Always verify our work. Now we gotta go to .10, Ethernet 00.10, right? And then we do encapsulation .1Q, and he is 10, right? Okay, and notice here's another mistake. Configuration of multiple sub-interfaces on the same main interface with the same VLAN ID is not permitted. This VLAN ID is already configured on .20. So I'll show y'all what I did here. Right? This is another mistake. Why we always need to verify. I put that sub-interface right there, 00.20, and gave him the IP address of 10.2 and associated him with VLAN 10. So .20 needs to be associated with VLAN what? 20, you dumbass network, bruh. So let's go ahead and fix that as well. Let's go back to that interface, which was .20, right? This guy. And we changed the encapsulation, which was .1Q20. Now we can go to interface 00.10 and change his encapsulation to .Q10. And then his IP address was IP, let me type it out so that way y'all can see, 192.168.10.2, right? Because the other one's 20.2 and 10.2. And then we're going to show our work again. .2, Fat Finger Squad, 255.255. Y'all want me with that like button, man. 255.252. And then we show IP interface brief. Right, we have our physical interfaces that are down. Matter of fact, everybody's down. So these are the physical interfaces, right? These two are the virtual sub interfaces. Those are down. And we have that other physical one that's associated with these two. And that one needs to be up for these two to come up, right? So let's go to the physical interface, which is Ethernet 00, right? Go to global config mode. Y'all know what's going on here, right? Why this router got stuck? Anybody know why this router's stuck now? Is this community or pro edition? Pete, if it's for free, it's for me. So guess what? It's the free version. Bars. Y'all know, that's why I was using GNS3, because it was free. So I do have the community edition. Maybe if I get used to this, and I love the way EVNG, and I like EVNG so far, maybe if I put some, if I like it, I'll put some money into it and get the community edition. I mean the pro edition. But y'all know right now I'm only playing with 2 or 3 routers or maybe 4 devices on my topology. So I really don't need that many nodes or anything like that. But y'all see why I got hung up here? It's because it was trying to do a domain name lookup, right? And when you do a typo like that, it'll give you that error. So we can turn that off with no IP domain lookup, right? So global config mode, and we say no IP domain hyphen lookup, and it ain't gonna do that no more, right? And then let's go back to that physical interface, which was interface Ethernet 00. No shut that bad boy, and then show IP interface brief. You see this now? They're coming up, right? So now the sub interfaces are also up, along with that physical one that we just brought up. So remember that the sub interfaces ain't gonna come up until the physical one is up, right? And by default, the routers are down. I mean the interfaces on a router is down. You got to bring them up manually. I always rage quit after the DNS. Man, listen, man. when I see that thing hang up, I'm just like, I need to turn that thing off, man. But yeah, that's what I need to do. Maybe I need to do that on this side, but I think we're done configuring everything on. No, we're not. Task 4. We're almost done here. We only got 6 tasks, and we should be able to wrap this up. I'm always doing that rage. I'm always raging when I do that domain lookup. My beard is falling all over this book, man. If y'all want to follow along next time, get you a copy of this book, 101labs.net. There's also a link in the description box below. It's an affiliate link, so it takes you to Amazon, and you'll get it faster that way. Task 4 was to ping between router 1 and router 2 sub-interfaces 0010, 0/0.10, and 20. So basically, I need to ping from this interface to that interface, and then from this interface to that interface, right? Just to make sure that we are working here. And theoretically, they should work because let's just check our router table, right? Show IP route. basic command that we should know, right? And we have routes to both the 10 network along with the 20 network. So theoretically, they're directly connected to each other, even though there's a switch in between. But remember, we put them in their respective VLANs, so they should be able to ping each other. So let's ping from router 1. So we're gonna have router that loopback, or not that loopback, but that subinterface pings that subinterface, which is 192.168.10.2. Pray to the network gods and hope for 5 exclamation points, and we only got 4. Because why? It always drops that first ping packet, right? Because it does the ARP lookup. So we run it again, we'll see we got 5 that time, right? So from here to there, it worked. Now we need to ping from there to there, and theoretically that should work as well, according to the routing table there, right? We do 20.2, pray to the network gods, and we got some exclamation points. So we're good to go there. We'll run it again so we can get 5, and we're good to go. All right, so we know that routing works there. Task number 5, enable EIGRP, what we came to do, using ASN number 10 on router 1 and router 2. The subinterface is FA00.10, which is that guy right there, and 00.20, which is that one right there. Subinterfaces respectively. And verify that you have 2 EIGRP neighbor adjacencies on router 1 and router 2. So, 1 through the FA0010 subinterface. So we're going to have basically a neighbor relationship between this subinterface and that subinterface, and then a neighbor relationship in EIGRP between that subinterface and that subinterface. So theoretically, router 1, even though he's physically connected to only one physical router, he should still see 2 neighbors there because there are 2 subinterfaces there, right? That make any sense? If you don't know, just watch, just follow along. Y'all see, we know how to basically configure. We've done this in the past couple videos, right? We go to router config mode, and then we choose the autonomous system number it's going to be associated with, right? Which in this case is ASN 10, right? And remember, in EIGRP, the ASN's got to match. Not like OSPF where that last number, which is the process ID, they don't have to match, right? You can have a router in OSPF 10 versus OSPF 100, and they still gonna be in the same. They still gonna become neighbors just as long as they're in the same area. Well, in EIGRP, the ASN number has to match because they're in the same autonomous system. They have to be in the same autonomous system, right? So we go to global config mode. Let me turn off IP domain lookup as well because I almost did a typo there. I remember I had a coworker from my last job. I type pretty fast, and he'll be like, he used to get paranoid because I'll work on a core switch and I'm working, and he's just like, man, you type too fast for me, man. Like he's trying to like look over my shoulder because that's how we kind of like work together and stuff to make sure we're not making any mistakes. And he'll just be like, man, I just be getting like paranoid that you're gonna make a mistake and take something down. I'm like, well, I always backspace and I always look at it before I even press enter. Sometimes I don't, but it is what it is. But anyways, I do need to slow down before I start typing. But anyways, we go to router config mode. So in this case, router EIGRP, and we say what? The ASN, right? We question mark, and I'll show you. You can name the instance, which I don't think I knew that. I don't think I knew about that. In this case, we're doing a autonomous system number 10, right? So router EIGRP 10. That puts us in router config mode, as you can see, because the prompt changed, right? Right there, config router, right? And as you can see, I'll do a show IP protocols. You'll see now we're running EIGRP on this router, but we're not advertising for any networks. So now once we did that, we'll see that routing protocols EIGRP 10. We have ASN 10 right there. That's our router ID. It's been selected. We also have our K values there. Remember, the default is K1 and K3, right, for bandwidth and delay. Anybody know what the other K values are? Can anybody tell me what those are? That's our pop quiz for today. There's 5 K values in EIGRP. What are the other 3? K1 is bandwidth. K3 is delay. What are the other 3? Fat Finger Squad in the building. What's up, Dave? So we need to put our network statements in, right? When we do the network statement, we're saying whatever interface falls into this network statement, have him participate in EIGRP, whatever ASN. In this case, it's ASN 10, right? So our network statement in this case is going to be, we need to put the subnet ID, right? So it's going to be 192.168.10. What's the subnet for this? It should be 10.0, right? Because it's every 4 subnets when it's /30. So 192.168.10.0. We don't need to put a subnet mask in this case, or a wildcard mask in this case. And then we'll do the same thing on this side. All right. Yeah, we'll do the same thing on this side. I think we're pretty much done with the switch, so I might be able to get him out of the way. Yeah, we're pretty much done with the switch. We ain't got to do nothing with that guy. So we'll go to global config mode, router, Eigrp. Sorry for that sound there. 10, right? And then we put the same network statement. We're saying whoever falls in this network haven't participated in Eigrp 10, right? The network statement in this case is 192.168.10.0. And theoretically, they should become neighbors, right? And there they go. We got the adjacency right there, right? Dual means the dual algorithm, right? Diffusing update algorithm, which is basically like the algorithm that Eigrp uses to calculate routes with, right? We got to this is less than know it's a level 5 message, right? We could either have 0 through 7. 0 meaning a catastrophic emergency, and 7 is like, it's just to let you know, right? Well, we're at 5. This is a level 5 message. This lets us know there's a number change. I think. I don't know what that is. It's basically let us know that there was some sort of change with the dual update, dual algorithm, and then it lets us know it's Eigrp ASN number 10, and we have a neighbor. It's 10.1. Who is that? Well, from router 2's perspective, 10.1 is that guy right there, right? And we can verify that with show IP Eigrp neighbors. And we see we have one neighbor, right? And it's learned out of that subinterface, which is .10. What else? And that's his router ID, 10.1. Actually, my bad. This is going to be the neighbor's .10, right? So this is information about the neighbor. And then this lets us know that is the first neighbor that we learned. Remember about that yesterday or the last stream, Endrick? What we were trying to determine what that H is. This lets us know what number host this came in at. So if we had like 10 neighbors, it'll let us know what order it came in. Well, this is number 0. It always starts with 0 for some reason. Fun fact, 4 days ago, I learned that Eigrp is open. I appreciate that, Endrick, man. We learn something every day, man. It's a good thing you are subscribed to the NetworkBruh channel. Otherwise, you would have thought that you could only use Eigrp on Cisco networks, but it is all good, man. Speed, reliability, and load. That's correct, Pepper Jack. Speed, reliability, and load. Those are the K values right there. Jason got one of them. Network got the other one. Load, delay, and reliability. That's correct. So all y'all correct. Y'all just kind of like disperse those answers there. But yes, we were looking for speed, reliability, and what was the other one? Load. Because the other two were bandwidth and delay. Those are the default values, right? So we do have a neighbor, and then we can see on router 1, he obviously has a neighbor as well, Eigrp neighbor, and you can see he has a neighbor. He's been up for 2 minutes and 9 seconds, right? 0 is there, right? So now we have one neighbor going through that subinterface. Now we need to make a neighbor going through that subinterface. What is the network statement we're going to use on this process? While y'all trying to figure that, let me run some other show commands. What's the network statement we got to use? Show IP protocols. We'll see now. Oh, it does not let us know what networks we are advertising. This, I don't know if this is the version of iOS that I'm using. But typically, if you run show IP protocols, it should let us know what networks we're advertising out of for this Eigrp process. So show IP. Let's do this. Show IP Eigrp. What we needed. Not neighbors. Not traffic. Not timers. 10. Autonomous system number 10. And then what? Interfaces, neighbors, topology, traffic, accounting. Nah. It should let you know. It should at least let you know. If you do show IP protocols, it should say, there should be a command in here that lets you know advertising for networks, blah, 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 blah. But I don't know. It's not in here for some reason. I don't know if this is the version of iOS that don't do that. But you, sir, in the back, what is the network statement we got to use? That's correct. 192.168.20.0. We'll go to global config mode. Let's knock this out, man. It's 8:50 right now. Coon. What am I doing here? Configure terminal router Eigrp. What is it? 10. Right, and the network statement we're looking for to put these sub-interfaces in is 20.0. So 192.168.20.0, and we should theoretically see another neighbor in this case. We do that. But notice, I only did it on that side, and I'm sitting here waiting. You got to do it on this side as well. So topology, is that what I'm looking for? Let's see. Let's see if Lee says what I was looking for. Show IP Eigrp topology. That does tell us the network. That tells us the routes. But what I was trying to see was, normally if you type in show IP protocols, it'll tell you are broadcasting for this routing process. You are broadcasting for that network. But yes, you're right. Show IP EIGRP topology does tell us that. It does tell us we're broadcasting for EIGRP out of this network, the 10 network, and the 20 network, right? We didn't do it out of here, so let's run that show command just to verify what you were saying. And I think you're right. So show IP EIGRP topology. See, it says 10 and 20. So 10 for ASN 10. Let's see, 20. This one's just 20. Yeah, 20.1. So it was supposed to be 20. And we put the 10.0 network as well, didn't we? Router ID is 20. What did we do here? What did we do? We did 10. Yeah. So when we did it first time, we did the 10.0 network. And then the second time, we did 20.0 network. So no, this is not what I was looking for. But yeah, because these are the connected networks. What I was trying to see, I guess you could use this. Yeah, you could use that. But show IP protocols normally would tell you, maybe that's just OSPF. I don't know. I got to double check that. But let's continue on. So let's put that network statement over here. And theoretically, we should see another neighbor. So we go to router, EIGRP, what we said, 20? No, 10, my bad. 10. I hope I put 20 on this side too. Didn't I? Yes, I did. All right, good. So the network statement for these two networks right here, for those sub interfaces, for them to come up in the EIGRP or participate in the EIGRP, we had to put in a network statement, which in this case was 92.168.20.0. And there's another neighbor right there, right? Even though there's physically one neighbor there, he has two sub interfaces. That's why he's seeing another neighbor, right? We could do this for, for redundancy purposes. Maybe one sub interface might fail. Theoretically, it shouldn't because it's associated with one physical VLAN or physical interface. But in case maybe one of them failed, at least we have another backup EIGRP neighborship. So we do show IP EIGRP on either side. We'll see we have two neighbors there, right? So we have, and remember that first H there, which stood for, let's look up that output real quick, just so we remember. I know I always look this up. So show IP, there it is, show EIGRP output. Let me bring this up for y'all real quick so y'all can see. All right, this is a WordPress. I don't know whose website this is. Buta's blog. The output H, which stands for the H column, lists the neighbor in order they were learned. I guess that means host. I don't know, but that is what it is, right? So the 0 lets us know the first EIGRP neighbor we learned about, and then 1 lets us know it's the second neighbor, and so on and so forth, right? So let's take a look at that. Let me bring that back over and bring those bad boys up. Right, so this is our first neighbor we learned about. Remember the 10.0? This is our second neighbor that we learned about. These are their respective router IDs. These are the interfaces that they are broadcasting their information out of, right? So this is from router 2's perspective, right? This is router 2, remember? He's seeing it from 10.0 or 0.10 and 0.0.20, which is their interfaces right there. Now, my sub interfaces are the same too, but when we do show IP EIGRP neighbors, that's his interface. So this is router 1's interface, right? And then the hold timer is, remember, when we consider the neighbor dead, we say hello every 3 seconds, and we say that they're dead, I believe, after 10 seconds. I can't remember. Let's run that again real quick. I think it's after 15 seconds we consider him dead. I can't remember, because notice it's going back to 15, and then 14, right? 10, 14, 13, 12, 11, and it goes back to 14. So every 15 seconds. I think after the 15th second, he considers him dead. So he says hello to his neighbor every 3 seconds. After that 15th second, if he haven't heard from him, he considers him dead. That's what the hold timer is, right? Uptime, correct me if I'm wrong, y'all. The uptime is how long EIGRP has been up, right? So I've been talking shit for about 9 minutes right there, and this guy has been up for 2 minutes and 27 seconds, right? This is the smooth round trip time. how long it took for a message, an EIGRP, or not an EIGRP, but a message to come from here to there. And then RTOs are retransmission timeout, right? Which we have it in that, what I do with that window there. Yeah, smooth round trip timer is used by RTP to manage reliable EIGRP packets. The Q stands for a queue count, right? So queue count should always be 0. If more than 0, then EIGRP packets are waiting to be sent. So we want this queue to be 0, right? If that number is incrementing, that means EIGRP ain't working, and most likely we ain't gonna have a neighbor if that is more than 0. And then this is the sequence number, which is used to track updates, queries, and reply packets. If you don't know anything about those, I have a tutorial in my channel. Just type in EIGRP, NetworkBruh, packets or something like that, and you'll see it on my channel. And I break it down. This is a video I did like 2 years ago or something like that. But yeah, that's one command you really want to learn. Show IP EIGRP neighbors, right? What are we at right now? Task number, that was task 5, right? So we ran some show commands. We saw we got 2 EIGRP adjacencies. One through the FA0010 subinterface and the other through the .20 subinterface. On either router 1 or 2, verify that you have 2 neighbors on your peer 2, your peer router, which we did. That was task 5. Task 6, which is last task, the final one we came to do. Prevent EIGRP from forming an adjacency via FA00, or in this case Ethernet 00.20 on router 1 and router 2. Verify that you now have only one EIGRP neighbor adjacency between router 1 and router 2, only through FA00.10. So they basically want to tear down one of those neighbor relationships, right? So we do show IP EIGRP neighbors, and we notice, remember, we have, even though there's one neighbor, one physical neighbor, so router 2 only has one neighbor, and router 1 has only one neighbor, he sees 2 neighbors because of those 2 subinterfaces, right? Well, they want us to tear one of these down. And the book said to prevent an adjacency via FA00, FA0020 on router 1. So we got to go to router 1, go to global config mode, interface. No, I don't think you got to do it from the interface. You actually got to go to the routing process to do it. So you got to go to router, EIGRP. Now, I used to make that mistake. I didn't know if you had to go to the interface or do you have to go to the routing process to do this. Basically, a passive interface is, let's say you got 10 interfaces that are participating in EIGRP. Process number, in this case, 10. And maybe 2 of them we don't want to advertise EIGRP out of for whatever reason. I don't know, maybe for PCI compliance, HIPAA compliance, whatever the case may be. That's where passive interfaces come in. So in this case, we have these 2 neighbors, right? Show IP, EIGRP, run them again. Make sure y'all know this command right here. This is very important for EIGRP, right? Let's say what they wanted us to tear down. The adjacency on FA0020. So this interface they want us to tear down. I mean, that neighbor relationship. So we got to go to global config mode and go to the routing process. We learned it out of that interface. So we don't go to that interface. We got to go to the routing process to make it a passive interface. So in EIGRP 10, in this case, right? Because that is the routing process for not a routing process, I'm sorry. The autonomous system, the AS10, it's the autonomous system that we're trying to get into. The process for it is router EIGRP 10. But we say passive interface. What interface do we want to make it passive? So we're not going to broadcast any EIGRP packets out of it. Well, in this case, for .20, it was this right here. And we're learning that means we don't want EIGRP to be broadcast out of that interface right there, right? So I guess, can you copy and paste? Can you copy and paste? Copy and paste? I guess you can. Edit, copy, paste. And that should theoretically tear down our relationship. Notice we did, right? So we tore it down. Dual update. It's a level 5 message. Number change. I gotta look up what the number change is. I'll do that probably after the stream. EIGRP IP version 4. ASN number 10. The neighbor 20.2, which is that guy right there, is down. Right? Why is that? Because it's an interface passive. So we do run that command again. Show IP EIGRP neighbors. We see we only have one neighbor, and it's 10.2. So now we have this relationship up and that relationship down. So and notice we go to router 2, key got a peer termination received. We could have done it on the other side, so we could have made one of these interfaces passive interface, and he would have got the peer termination received on that side, right? So now We don't have any queue count or anything like that, or anything on that neighbor, because we just tore down that neighbor relationship. So let's see if we do show IP EGRP neighbors on this side. We'll see. We only got one neighbor there. And that's pretty much it for task 6. So we're pretty much done with this lab right here. Next lab, before we even do that, let's see what they said here. When configuring passive interfaces under EIGRP, it is important to know that they need to be applied to only one side of the adjacency to prevent routing updates on that interface. So we only had to do this passive interface on one side to tear down that neighbor relationship. We didn't have to do it on this side, right? That's what they're trying to say in the book here. To prevent routing updates on that interface. In our example, specifying FA00.20, which was that guy right there, Ethernet in my case, because I don't have fast Ethernet because I'm too broke to get them. And I have the community edition of EVNG. As the passive interface, drop the adjacency on router 1 and router 2, FA00.20. Remember that you can issue the show IP protocols command to see which interfaces are currently passive. Well, guess what? I think if you do that, maybe it's because of this version of iOS. If we do show IP protocols like they said in the book, it should let us know which one is a passive interface. Well, this one don't tell us that. And I think that's just because of this version of iOS that I'm running. It don't tell us that. Because it would have said passive in here somewhere. It would have let us know which one is a passive interface. Let's do this. Let's do show IP interface Ethernet 0020. No, they don't let us know. They don't let us know which one is a passive interface. The only way we can do that is actually running looking at running configuration for it. So in this case, show Ethernet interface Ethernet 00.20. Nope, you can't even do it that way. Let's do this. You actually have to go to the routing process. So in this case, show running config pipe section EIGRP, and that's the only way we can tell. Maybe because of this version of iOS. I don't know. I'm happy with EVNG so far, but I don't like the fact that there's no other way for me to tell which interface is a passive interface other than looking at the running configuration of the routing process. Y'all got any questions or anything like that, man? Just hit me up on the Discord server. We got a lot of smart people in the chat room there, and let me go ahead and plug that Discord server. If y'all have any other questions, hang out for a little bit if y'all want to after class. If y'all have any questions for me, I'm going to continue looking at the what they show IP EIGRP, because I look at this a lot of times at work and my last job too, and I never really do. I didn't say I ignored, but these last 5 columns right here, I never really, took the time to understand what each one of them mean, right? So SRTT is smooth round trip time, which is smooth round trip timer, which is used by RTP, or Reliable Transport Protocol, to manage reliable EIGRP packets. The RTO is retransmission timeout, which is not in this. Oh, yes, it is right here. It's retransmission intervals, what it said on this guy's blog, or this girl's blog, Belle. You check her out. Anyway, retransmission interval, but it's actually retransmission timeout, I believe. She put retransmission interval. See, I'll check. Let me show y'all. She said is RTO is retransmission interval. That right there. I think it's retransmission timeout. I need to fact check that. Let's verify that. We'll verify that in a second. But that last Q, remember, Q stands for should always be 0. If it's more than 0, then EIGRP packets are waiting to be sent. And the sequence number is used to track updates. So that Q right there. She used to track updates and queries and reply packets, etc., 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 etc. Let's look at what RTO is and call it a night. Google.com, our favorite source, EIGRP, RTO. And look, I did look it up before, and it actually stands for retransmission timeout. I told y'all. So, Belle, you're wrong, Belle, wherever if you're watching. I need to check her out, though. Her. Hey. Let's see here. What's her at? She got an Instagram or something? But she's wrong there. The RTO stands for retransmission timeout. This is the period of time the router waits before retransmitting a packet that has already been sent over a connection-oriented protocol. And that is a reliable source, the learning network. Another source we can use is, guess what? Cisco.com. RTO. Control F, RTO. Come on, man. RTO. Where is it? Retransmission timeout. This is the amount of time the software waits before retransmitting a packet from the retransmission queue to a neighbor. So similar to the queue count, but this is the actual time that he's gonna wait, right? So be careful when you guys are looking up some of this stuff, man, because I know that this is probably somebody that's learning and they just use their blog, kind of like I use YouTube to document my, progress and to, to show my work and stuff like that, and to actually, lab. I just like to lab and teach and do it at the same time. But be careful when you're looking at other people's blogs and stuff like that. They might put some wrong information. So, shout out to Belle's blog right here, but she got the wrong information as far as what the RTO stood for. Right? It's not retransmission interval. It is, I guess, the interval, but it actually stands for retransmission timeout. So y'all be careful with that when y'all looking up that stuff, man. But anyways, y'all want me with that like button, man. Comment down below for anything else y'all want to see. The next lab is lab number 58 of the book, summarizing routes with Eigrp. That's a pretty tough one. It ain't tough. It's just that you got to do a little bit of binary conversion to figure out what the summarized route is. That's the hard part, for me at least, when you're trying to summarize routes. Basically, you got a whole bunch of routes, and you probably have, like, let's say you got 500 routes, and you got 500 networks, and you got 500 routes to get there. Well, let's say you want only 1 or 2 routes to get to those 500 networks. We got to summarize that route, right? And, yeah, maybe I'll put up an Excel spreadsheet. We'll do a little bit of summarizing before we actually do the labbing. So that's lab number 58, page 256 of the book. If you guys want to follow on next time, 101 Labs, Cisco CCNA version 4. You get a copy of this from 101labs.net, or there's a link in the description box below. We typically lab Monday through Thursday, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Y'all know how I do. Y'all know how I do, man. We keep it funky on this channel. We make this stuff fun, man. For now, comment, like, subscribe to the network.